Are you an entrepreneur, creative person, or in a transition to becoming one? You've come to the right place. Welcome to the Success You podcast, where it's all about educating and motivating you with simple and easy to implement ideas. And of course, helping you create something amazing today. And now your host. She's a best-selling author, public speaker, and her deepest regret is not investing in Berkshire Hathaway when she had the chance. Susanrkiley.
All right. Welcome everybody to the Success You channel today. Today I have an incredible guest. I have Melanie Moore. She is a big vision coach. So please welcome Melanie Moore to the show today. Welcome, Melanie.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So Melanie, I have right off the bat, I'm going to ask you two big things today people should get out of today, like from our discussion.
Okay, so I have a personal belief that most of us, we don't dream big enough as to what's possible in our lives, our businesses, our relationships, our health even. A lot of us, we just settle for what's been given to us and we, plod along and we just, things may be okay, but I don't think we should just settle with okay. I think we really need to squeeze the juice out of life and dream more, but be more and have more as well. I really do believe that. So I'm hoping that by the end of this episode that people will be inspired to shake things up a bit and to dream a bit bigger and to make some really big changes in their life. So that's one. And the second thing is that I want people to actually realize that it's so possible and achievable. And it's not for others. It is absolutely for you. And if you're here listening, you're listening for a reason. The universe has brought you here and you were meant to hear what you hear today.
Exactly. And for anyone that isn't watching, instead they're listening, when Melanie talks about her visions and her tapping and everything about this topic, like her face lights up. And I've been chatting with her for a few minutes before we started recording. And oh my gosh, that's the one thing that I've noticed, Melanie, is that when you talk about this, your face just lights up and exudes like you just get so excited and you're so passionate about this. And so I just want everybody to know that if you're not watching, but you're listening, not only in her voice, but her face just, it's incredible watching you, Melanie, because you are so passionate and so excited about this topic. So we're going to jump in and I would love for you to explain, what is this huge idea that you have about tapping into your big vision? Like what is that?
Okay. So just a little backstory. We go way back. I started off as a journalist, as a model. We're going back, 25 years ago now. Worked for the BBC, worked in television. Then I then moved into the corporate space. I worked in the city in London and for a good 10 years, in the corporate world. And then, gosh, I'm kind of showing my age now. And then
you're fine.
Then I got married, had children. When my children came along, I knew I didn't want to be in the corporate world anymore. I wanted to start my own business, but equally, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I always had a passion for alternative therapies and holistic kind of healing. So I trained to become a reflexologist and Reiki practitioner. And also at that time, I was working primarily with women trying to get pregnant who were just had babies. And then I brought in this tool, which I started to use myself called tapping, EFT. Okay. And it quickly became my favorite therapy because it helped people to deal with their emotions and to calm women down, on their pregnancy journey. So that was how my business started. I also did this thing on the side. I did vision board parties because I was really into personal development. I loved, books like The Secret and Law of Attraction books, Think and Grow Rich. So I was really consuming all this personal development, all these books.
Yeah.
And in The Secret, they talked about vision boards. So I had my existing client base and I invited my ladies to these vision board parties. And this was kind of nearly 10 years ago now. And so they were kind of two separate businesses. And the more I kind of learned about tapping, EFT, the more I realized that actually it could be used for your limiting beliefs, to help rewire your brain, to help with mindset. Mm-hmm. And a few years ago, I had this aha moment. Just like, oh my gosh, what if I combine the tapping with the vision boards? Then a whole new business created. And that's how Tapping Into Your Big Vision was born.
Yeah. So explain, if you can, what tapping is, because I think our listeners or those watching may think tapping, do I just like tap my hand? Do I tap? Like, what is tapping for those that doesn't understand or know what tapping truly is?
So tapping, its proper name is EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. And a lot of people, when they've come across it, they've stumbled across it because it's good for things like anxiety, trauma, and post-traumatic stress. It's also really good for phobias and addictions as well. Here in the UK, we've got an airline called EasyJet, and they run a fear of flying course. So it's, a big airline. It's a 2-day course. And the first day is just emotional freedom technique to tap away your fears. So anyone thinking it's like, oh, this kind of woo-woo, weird kind of, nonsense. There are big companies like EasyJet who have seen that it's proven to work. They have a massive success rate for their fear of flying program. An airline wouldn't put their name to something that was just a bit, wacko and a bit out there. So it's really good for all those things I've described. There are EFT practitioners who specialize in addictions, helping people stop smoking. And it's one of those things where you can really use it on anything. It's so safe to use. I've been using it with my children since they were tiny. And but how I've chosen, so what it is, it's like a cross between acupuncture. Mm-hmm. But instead of needles, because it is kind of based on traditional Chinese medicine, these acupressure points on your face and on your upper body. But it's like a cross between acupuncture, but with modern day psychology, like talking therapy. Mm-hmm. So we use it to address fears, phobias, limiting beliefs, but we also use the power of language and positive affirmations whilst tapping. So you're stimulating these pressure points whilst speaking about the problem you want to clear, or the new positive belief you want to rewire into your brain. Because what it does, it actually rewires your neural pathways for anything you want. And particularly, as this podcast title suggests, you can rewire your brain for success with tapping and with positive affirmation. So it's an incredible tool. And yeah, I do love talking about this because it's such a simple, I wouldn't say simple, but once you get the hang of it, it just, anyone can use it. Anyone really can.
So is this something, Melanie, that you can do now that, we're in lockdown, or the UK is in a stricter lockdown and we have the pandemic going on and there's a lot of this virtual stuff going on? Can you do tapping with your clients then virtually, or does it have to be in person?
No. Well, funnily enough, I've been, when I started off my practice, yes, it was mostly in person. But when I took my business online 5 years ago, about 5 years ago, and that was one of the first things. It was like, I've been tapping on Zoom and Skype with my clients for about 5 years now. So when the pandemic hit, it didn't actually affect my business at all, because I've been using Zoom and all this stuff for years. I've been doing group workshops for online, and I'd even been doing my vision board workshops. They've been online for the past 3 years. So the pandemic didn't actually affect me at all. And totally, actually, when I made the switch from online to not doing in person, well, there are a few people who still wanted to see me in person, but I thought I only do it online now. So absolutely. And yeah, I've got a YouTube channel with a whole bunch of YouTube videos on, which you can just give it a go. Just try, I've got tapping video for having a great start to the day. It's just a great way to set your mind for having a positive day. I've got a video to help you have a good night's sleep, just to help you wind down and, calm down for a good night's sleep. So when you're following a YouTube video, there are hundreds, it's not just me, there's loads of EFT tapping videos you can discover. The only time I would probably suggest you work with a practitioner is when there's deeper stuff that you want to get to the root of, when you need somebody to guide you and to support you, because as you tap, it can bring up other stuff. So sometimes if you're working on deeper rooted stuff, yes, that would be when you should work with a professional.
And how, Melanie, does people distinguish between, professional EFT tappers and those who see maybe it's a beneficial thing and they just want to do it? Do you know what I'm saying? So like, there's a lot of times people say that they're life coaches, but they may not have the practice behind them. Like they're trying to be something that they're not. You know what I mean? So how can they, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, so they distinguish, like, you're really good at this and you've done the training, you've done everything for it, versus, they go on YouTube and this other video comes up. Like, how can you distinguish between the one that's right for you and the one that's not right for you when it comes to tapping?
When it comes to it, I think it would depend on, what your actual issue was. Like, say if it was deep-rooted trauma from childhood, sexual abuse or anything like that, I would look for a practitioner who specializes in those things. Okay. I don't specialize in that, and so it's not my thing. So, if you're looking to clear a phobia, a fear of flying perhaps, and I think there are EFT practitioners who just specialize in phobias. I don't do that either. You'd want to go... I can help people with all those things, but I've just chosen, I think you should be a specialist in your area. And I think if you are looking for an EFT practitioner, go for a specialist in that area, somebody who deals just with children and teenagers. Now, I personally use it, with the helping people to, change their lives, particularly women at a crossroads in their lives, people who want to have a vision for different things, make big changes in their life, because I love helping people with the whole vision board creation process, because it's not just cutting pictures and sticking them on a piece of board. It's a whole process on getting really clear on what you want, because most of us, we don't get really honest with ourselves. We tell ourselves one story in our head, but when you connect with the heart, our heart wants something different. Suddenly you may realize, I've always wanted to pick up the paintbrush. I've wanted to get my tap shoes on again. I want to write a book, or, there's all these amazing things projects that we have that we just don't do. We get busy with the kids and we get busy with life. So I help people to unlock that. That's where I come to life. That's where I light up, when I help people to unlock what's in their hearts. But then I love helping people, women particularly, take action in making that happen, because that's the thing. You can stick pretty pictures on a piece of cardboard all day long. If you don't take action, and the reason we don't take action is because of, again, stories we tell ourselves. Oh, I'm too old, or who would want to read my cookery book, or who'd want to buy that from me, or who am I to be starting a business? But I help people to cut through that and to take action and to, make those things, their heart's desires, become reality.
Exactly. And you have this, we were talking earlier, you just had one of your programs kind of around all of this that is phenomenal. We were talking about it. And so if you don't mind, will you share a little bit about what you do twice a year with this program that has incredible and amazing results for those that join it?
So I have a monthly membership group. It's called the Tapping Into Your Big Vision Members Community. And twice a year, I launch the Vision Board Day. And through the Vision Board Day, people can come to me and we do a 3-day immersion process on making your vision board. So on day 1, we get super clear on what you want. I take people through guided meditations and tapping exercises to get super clear on their heart's desires. Mm-hmm. Day 2, it's like a 4 or 5 hour Zoom session. It sounds like a long time, but it's actually really lovely, where I used to do this in person. I used to hire hotel rooms and, we'd all be in the same room. Obviously, in these days, we can't. But the lovely thing is I get a global community of people. We have people from all over the world in the same Zoom room. And I then, when they join my community, I then put them into accountability partners. So you can end up having a best friend in Australia or New Zealand or America or Europe. And I trust that the universe will put the right people together. So, people are creating really wonderful friendships and support systems as well. So yeah, people come together to make their vision boards together, and we have breaks, we make the boards. And then on day 3, we have another 90-minute session. It's called the vision embodiment process, where I take people through my special blend of EFT, visualization, and the whole language thing, the talking therapy, where we step into the vision, we really immerse ourselves into it. I call it the movie screen technique. And then when we can live in the vision, we do that, watch the replay for, I say, anything between 60 to 90 days. That is how we hardwire our brain to manifest what we want, in super quick time. Because that's the thing. I want people to get results quickly, and I don't want people to wait 5 years, I think we're a similar age, Susan, but and I hate the phrase. When I say at our age, I don't mean that in a derogatory. I love being that age. I know. I love the age I'm at. I really feel like I'm at my prime at the moment. I agree. I'm loving life. I really am. But when we do get to our age, we don't want to wait another 10 years or 15 years for our dreams to happen. We want it to happen quicker. So that's why I take people through this process, so that we can make things happen a bit faster. Because otherwise, how most people work their vision board is like, oh, that's nice. Yeah. And a lot of the times they do happen. Sometimes you might have to wait 5 years, 10 years. But you know what? I don't want to wait that long. I want things to happen quicker.
Yeah, exactly. So, Melanie, it just happened. And so I'm so happy. And we talked about another one's coming up in June, I believe, correct? June 21.
Yeah.
And so, of course, we'll put all these links down below this on the blog episode, all this stuff. We'll put all of your links and how they can get a hold of you and, different ways, all that. So here's my question though, because I'm sure there's people out there listening or watching saying, okay, I've heard this before. Mm-hmm. You have to do a vision board and you can manifest it, and it never worked. So why is it that they do it, but you kind of touched on this, they'll make a vision board, but it doesn't happen like we hear you have such success stories in your programs. So
the thing is, we get what we believe in. And the truth is, most people make a vision board, they get excited for a day or two, and then look at it, I can't see how that's going to happen. How's it ever going to happen? How am I going to make this happen? I'm too old, or, who am I to be wanting all of this? And if we don't believe in it, it's never going to happen. So we have to trick our brains into believing it. It's almost like brainwashing ourselves. And we do this through the rewiring of our brain. So this is why I love tapping, because we can tap the story of what we want. So first of all, I help people to recognize, what are the beliefs that are stopping you from this happening? What's stopping you? And there's a lot of stories around, I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. I don't have the skills, or, I compare myself to others. So, so whatever you want to do, you then counteract that with this other belief that just crushes it, just says, well, I can't see how it's going to happen. And the truth is, if you kind of just keep your eye on the vision and you tell yourself the story of what you want, but sometimes this is when it is, wise to work with a practitioner, because they can see things, they can spot things in your language. Like my clients and a lot of my friends, for a long time now, I've been known as the language police. I can literally be talking with somebody, whether it's clients in a setting or I could just meet somebody in the supermarket, and I can immediately, through their language, see how they are limiting themselves and blocking themselves because of all the things they're telling themselves they can't do. I can't do this. I couldn't possibly do that.
So our chat before, I may not want to know what you what you were able to see through me.
No, I saw a lot of positivity. There was nothing that made me think, oh, and to be honest, I pick people up straight away. I would have stopped you and said, actually, can I just offer this alternative reframe? You might want to say this instead. I will always, and because most people don't even realize it, the language we use is so powerful. The words that we speak, they literally can make or break us. And so if you're not feeling well, and, right now, health is a hot topic on the planet right now. And a lot of people are focusing on, the fear and worried about getting sick, and if you do get unwell, because let's face it, we all get unwell from time to time. If I ever feel like I'm coming down with, aches and pains or cold or something, I will not put my thoughts there. I will put my thoughts on what can I do to get better. I will tell myself things like, I'm healed, I'm better. What can I do to, I will listen to meditations and I will affirm tomorrow I'm going to be better. I remember when my kids were little and say they got a sick bug. I'd hear other mums at school say, oh gosh, it's a sick bug. Everyone's going to get it. We catch everything, or oh, he's bound to get it. It's almost like cursing your child that they're going to get it. And I would so often say to my kids, maybe others will get it, but not you. I've wrapped you in a bubble of protection. And of course, yes, they get unwell sometimes, but I would always say to them, it's just a 24-hour thing. Tomorrow you're going to be fine. You're healing right now. And I can honestly say my children very, very rarely had days off school. And if they did, they were back within a day or two. That's just how I've taught them to be, that, that we are so capable of healing. We're you cut your hand and your body just knows what to do. It heals. And we just need to let the power of our mind just focus on what we want, not just healing, but I have it as a reminder on my desk, focus on what you want, not what you don't want, because so many of us focus on what we don't want. We worry, we think about, the bad case scenario, but actually we just need to just shift our focus to what we want all the time.
Absolutely. And I completely agree with that, Melanie, because for the longest time, I had this dialogue. Oh, that's just Susan's luck. Oh, that's just Susan's luck. Oh, there's Susan's luck again. And it became a thing that people would say, oh, that must be Susan's luck, because one thing after another, but I was putting all that energy into Susan's luck that, I wasn't doing it. And then I started shifting and changing focus. And, I met you through the wonderful app of Clubhouse, and it's a voice thing. So you get to hear people's voices. You don't get to see them. So what you hear is their true, authentic self. And you can really hear it in their voice. And it kind of brings this power to you. And I had this, you probably don't remember, but when we were in this room, you asked me a question. And that question was, Susan, what is a vision that you have for 2021? And you probably don't remember my answer.
I don't. Remind me.
And that's perfect, because here's the funny thing about it. I gave you my 2021 vision and what I planned for my board and stuff. But then I said in the room, there was a lot of people in there. I said, my current real quick vision that I want to win right now is I want you on my podcast, and I'm going to get you on my podcast. And you laughed, and everybody, the people that could have speakers, they laughed, and I go, oh, I'm serious. I'm going to have you on my podcast. And I reached out to you and you're like, yes. And I'm like, done. So
I love it. And here's the thing, and the beauty of all of this. I went on Clubhouse with a view to connecting with more people so that I could get on more podcasts. And it's so funny. And I actually put that in my bio. If you want me on your podcast, reach out to me. And that's the thing. If we don't ask, we don't get. You asked me. I said yes. I asked by putting it on my bio. So, and that's the big thing. We don't ask for what we want. Most of us as women, this takes us back to how we really just settle for what we're given. But no, start thinking about what you want and ask for it.
Right. And I think that goes absolutely without saying that that's important, because you're right. We don't ask, or we put these, like, say, because I did want 50 people on my podcast this year. But some of the people that I put up there, I thought were unattainable. That is the story. And what I always told myself, they're unattainable because they have 50, 60,000 followers, or they're a specialist in EFT and vision boards and all this stuff. And so I'm like, I could never do that. And then I came into yours. I'm like, I'm going to do it. And it worked. And then I'm like, okay, so I want this person. I went after them and I got them. I went after this person and I got it. And I did that with a recent amazing individual. And through the power of this is what I want yesterday, while I was on Clubhouse in a room hosting it, I got an email that said, we want to offer you and bring you on our team.
Wow.
And like, and the power of that, and I'm not taking away from Melanie, but I'm telling you the power of vision boards and telling yourself a different story. This is a 10-year in the making of a story that I never thought I could get to that level, or I could do that, because I was kind of in this lane, but I continue saying, I want this. I want to be part of this team. I want this. And I mean, I had the vision board, I had everything, and it happened. I mean, the people on my podcast, or on my Clubhouse, I like screamed and they're like unmuting. They're like, what happened? What happened? I go, oh my gosh. And I was visually shaking and so overcome by something that I never thought, because of the story I told myself, that would ever happen. And I'm sure, Melanie, I would love for you to share a huge story like this that has happened in your group, because we were talking prior to recording about some of the amazing results. And so can you please share those?
Well, funny enough, just this morning I had, I can tell you one of my clients, I can tell you a quick story from my own life as well. So one of ladies in my group, now I didn't realize that she'd been following me for as long as she had. She said she's American and she discovered me back in 2015. So it must have just been when but she only joined my membership community last year. She'd just been following me on Facebook. And anyway, she's joined my community and she said, I've always done everything that you've asked for, you've told us to do. She goes, I do it. She goes, you suggest a book, I read it. I just do it. And I had this fun thing with my members a few months ago, because I really am big into money mindset as well. I said to everyone, look, again, it's asking, a lot of us, we just settle for the state of our current bank balances. We think we just can earn so much amount of money and therefore that is my monthly income. And we put a ceiling, we put a cap on what we feel we can attract. So I started to set my some of my members some, crazy goals. How much do you want? So one of my ladies, she said, I put down, she goes, do you know what? Darn it. I'm going to put I want $50,000 by the end of the year. And she said, I don't work. I'm not, I want to write children's books and I want to do this, but she's just tapping and manifesting. And that was her goal by the end of the year. And she said on December 28th, she said her husband had got a really big bonus from work and wrote her a check of $50,000. But the thing is, her husband actually said to her, this is because of you. You've manifested this for us, because she's been sharing all this stuff with her husband. And it's just like, wow, what an incredible story. So
I got goosebumps. I know those that are listening can't see, but my hair is completely raised and I have goosebumps. Oh, I
just had that testimony through this morning, because, I will always, so something else I do twice a year is I call it the prosperity party, that it's just a 5-day challenge. It's really low cost. I charge $7 for it, about £5 in the UK. And in 5 days, I set everyone this really fun goal that in 5 days, you're going to manifest £500, $500, whatever currency you're in. We're going to manifest £500 out of the blue, but you do need to follow my process. It's a step-by-step process. It's going to be a bit weird. It's going to be stuff you've never done before. Come to it with an open mind. We're going to tap. We're going to visualize. We're going to do prayer. We're going to do this, that, and the other. And every year the results blow me away. The first year I did it, because I've done this myself so many times, and I'll end with my best story of all. I'll save that to the end, because when you set an intention, I want this, I want it by a certain date, and I'm willing to give this in return. So I'm willing to do something differently. I'm going to exchange my time to go through this process. And, there are certain elements I take people through. You will get the result. And it's £500, but it's enough of a sum of money to make a difference. It's, £500, $500 out of the blue in 5 days. Who wouldn't want that? But it's not like an unbelievable, it's not like I want to win 10 million on the lottery. It's not that much of a stretch. It's less believable. So that's why I picked that amount. And after that, because people have been through the process, that's what I then lead into kind of joining my membership community and the vision board days. So I do that twice a year as well. So that's just a fun thing. I do believe we can manifest money out of the blue. So I'm going to end with, one of my stories. And this is kind of how it all started for me. So I shared at the beginning how I was working in the corporate world. My children were small, and I just wanted to stay at home and be with my children. I knew that their childhood, their time as children would go quickly, and I wanted to take them to school. I wanted to be there at the sporting events. I just wanted to be there while they were growing up. I didn't want to be getting on the train to London every day and missing everything. So I then set myself, I just read The Secret, and I was into all of that. I thought, so my end goal was I want to stay at home and be with the children. So the next question I asked myself is, what do I need to do to make that happen? So I got it into my head, I need a chunk of money. I need about £20,000 in order for this to happen. So that was the amount of money. I thought, that's enough money that's going to get me started in my business, get a website, and, all those things. Right. And a bit of a financial cushion so that I could leave my job easily. And then the next thing was, well, what are the ways in which £20,000 come to me? Another question I ask, I get people to brainstorm. How can that come to you? And literally brainstorm all your crazy ideas. But I could only think of one way that could come to me, and that was to go in a game show.
No.
So I thought, I couldn't think of any other way. I thought, okay, I've got to go in a game show. And when I was still working my corporate job, I used to drive past the studios where Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was filmed. So every day I would imagine being on the show, again, using my visualization. And so that was like my daily vision board. I would visualize being in the studio on the hot seat, feeling really nervous. Because I used to love the show. I love general knowledge quizzes. Yeah. And it was a show that I'd always used to try and be a contestant on. I thought that's a show that I probably could do quite well at. And then next question is, what do I need to do to get on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? So I think it must have been Google. I went on, and then turned out there were auditions coming up. So I thought, okay, going to go for an audition. Have to take action. You see, you've got to take action. You can't just let the universe just, if I sat there just waiting £20,000, I think I'd been waiting a long time. So I went for an audition. And anyway, to cut a long story short, I got on the show and I sat in a hot seat and I won £20,000.
Yes. Oh my stars. That is incredible. You literally won.
I literally won the exact amount that I put my intention on. I even found the entry in my journal where I wrote, I'm happy, ready and open, willing for £20,000 to come into my life from whatever source. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I wrote that. And I literally sent that request out to the universe. But the weird thing was, it's the only way I could see it come to me. Now, if you could ask me, how could £20,000 come? I could think of hundreds of ways in which but focus is a good thing. And the fact that I put all my focus into that one thing, it made it happen. And yeah, so I don't know, people listening won't be able to hear right now, but here's my picture of when I was on the show. That's my prize check. That's Chris Tarrant.
Heavens, that is incredible. And I love that is what we're going to end the show on, but I have a question. One last question. I'm blown away that's phenomenal. Can you just really quick let people know that sometimes the things that we manifest, because like you made, when you were talking about the gal that needed, her children's book and needed all this money, that sometimes what we want and what we're visioning and manifesting and whatnot come to us in weird ways. Like she had 50,000 come, but it wasn't in the way that maybe she thought, where she earned 50,000 or whatever. It was that it came to her via her husband. Can you talk just very briefly about that? Because I think that's the important thing that people sometimes miss. They don't see that what you are visioning and what you want come to you, but may not always come in the way that you thought it would.
I could literally, this is so, so important. We are often, and this is the thing that trips a lot of us up, we expect things to come to us in a certain way. And I do just want to end with one just to really cement this in.
Yes, absolutely.
And this actually kind of takes us away from the whole money thing. Because often we think that things that we want are going to come to us through money. Right. But what we want, whether it's money or whether it's experiences or anything else, it can come to us through a million different ways. The universe can just line things up in all sorts of mysterious ways for things to happen. And we're never going to really know how that unfolds until we look backwards and we can see, that happened. I joined Clubhouse, so therefore I met Susan, who then this so-and-so listened to our podcast, who then reached out to me. And this happened. We can connect the dots going backwards, but we can't see them going forwards, but we don't need to see them. So, and the classic example, this is probably my favorite story. I don't know, there's a tie between that and the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire story. When my daughter was 8 years old, she really wanted to go to Disney World in Florida. And at the time, my marriage was just kind of coming to an end. And I couldn't see how I could possibly afford that kind of a trip. But I never once said, we can't afford it. In fact, the words "I can't afford" just never passed my lips. Instead, what I said to her was, look, honey, I don't know when we're going to go, but I promise you one day we will go. But in the meantime, let's make a vision board. So great. So vision boarding is great to do with your children. So she was 8 years old. We got us some magazines, travel brochures, printed pictures off the internet. And then it turned out she didn't just want to go to Disney World. She'd done her research. 8 years old. They're pretty savvy, these kids. She wanted to go to Discovery Cove. She wanted to swim with dolphins. She wanted to go to Universal. She wanted to go to Harry Potter Studios. Okay, but she put it out there. And I never once said, oh, no, we couldn't go there. Just poured it all out there. Me, as the grown-up, thinking, right, I need to make at least £10,000 in my business. And then I'm going to surprise the kids on Christmas Day. And that, I want to tell them on Christmas Day, we're going to Disneyland. Anyway, Christmas got closer and closer. I hadn't hit my income goals. I didn't have £10,000. And I hadn't told them anything. So I wasn't disappointing them. Again, it's just like, okay, it'll happen when it happens. So Christmas Day came and went. And then on the 4th of January, I got a telephone call from Disney head office in the UK. And they told me that I'd won an all expenses trip to Disney World. Flight.
I felt the goosebumps again. Oh my gosh. Oh.
The flights, the accommodation, the Disney passes. And how it happened. And who'd ever have thought that this would have been the how? I entered a contest in a shoe shop. I'd literally bought the children some new school shoes. I saw a prize draw. I saw Mickey and Minnie. They caught my eye. Wrote my name and address down, stuck it in the box, didn't think anything of it. And I won the trip, first prize. And
oh my gosh.
So my daughter got what she wanted. Goodness knows how. Well, we know how, but it certainly wasn't through me earning the money. So that's why it's really important to focus on the vision. Ultimately, I want Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. That's brilliant. But the vision, why I wanted that, was so I could stay at home and be with my children. That was ultimately the vision for me. And that's what I got, and now I've still got them. We're still homeschooling. We're still in lockdown together. that's my final story. I'll stop talking now.
No, please. I could literally, we said this before, I could probably talk with you for hours upon hours. And if they're watching video right now, the goosebumps when you tell these stories, that is the power of what can happen when you change the story that you tell yourself. And when you make these vision boards.
Here's what could have happened. My daughter could have said, and I remember saying this to my parents, I really, really want to go to Disneyland. And my mum said to me, we can't afford it. And I was like, oh, okay. And I could have said to my daughter, sorry, darling, can't afford it. Don't even talk about it. We're not going to Disneyland. That's enough. Enough of that talk.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
I didn't. I just said, look, I'm thinking I can't afford it. But I said, look, I promise you one day we'll go. But in the meantime, let's make a vision board. Let's think about it. Let's dream about it.
Yes. And I completely agree with that power. And when I was able to tell the story that just happened the other day, yesterday to my kids, when they came home from school, because they had been with their father for 4 days, the look on their face was priceless when I told them that what we did, our dream boards, our vision boards, all these boards we had done every single year about what we wanted one day. When I told them, like, you would have thought we won the lottery.
I love it.
They were like, they have never said to me over the years, oh, that didn't come yet, or that didn't happen. But when I was able to tell them what happened, they were like, it happened. Like, Mom, oh my heaven, like that happened. I go, it did. Yeah. And so it's the power of making those boards and continue telling yourself and continue going and not having that. So Melanie, oh my gosh, I am going to put all of your information, how people can reach out to you, how people can grab your courses, work with you, join your communities. And then you obviously have this incredible program that I would highly suggest to everyone join when it comes back out in June 2021. And I cannot thank you enough for coming on today and sharing the last hour.
It's my absolute pleasure. It's lovely talking to you. Lovely to meet you. And wonderful to connect. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
That's it for this episode of Success You. But wait, there's more. For blogs, transcripts, and other free resources, visit susanrkiley.com. You can also search for Susan R. Kiley on YouTube and social media for even more great content. Oh, and Susan would greatly appreciate a 5-star rating and review. It sure would mean a lot. Success You is produced by Susan R. Kiley